First Corinthians chapter 15, verse 33 says, "Be not deceived. Evil communications corrupt good manners." Now you're probably wondering, Trenton, well, what does that mean? In other words, don't be tricked, don't be fooled. All it's saying is that hanging around the wrong people, hanging around those that may commit evil actions or wrongly intentional actions, malice, obvious, like actions with the intention of doing wrong. Hanging out with those type of people will affect your good behavior, but specifically it will negatively affect your good behavior. Now you're probably wondering, why did I read that Bible verse? Well, today, I decided to do something different. I think that's probably the first time, or actually probably not the first time I've directly incorporated a Bible verse into a video that I filmed. But considering it, the reason why I decided to do that is because it's such a relatable verse. Even if you may not be a believer of God, if you may be an atheist, if you may be someone that doesn't necessarily support the Bible or biblical ideas, that is a verse that, regardless of who you may be, you can literally relate to that verse. But not only that, that's a verse that you can see within other people. Now, even from my experience, it is something that I've seen on countless occasions, still see it to this day. I see it all the time. I just all around see it all the time, whether that's in small interactions or big interactions, quick interactions, short interactions, long interactions. This is a verse that can literally be applied to almost anyone's life. And it is something that you are bound to probably somewhat experience, right? And you may not necessarily succumb, or you may not necessarily give up and just give in to negative behavior or a negative crowd, but you may witness others doing it. And simply what I want to talk about today is the importance of being conscious of your social circle, being safe socially, and just in general, probably being safe. I might address that in a separate video, but being safe is something that can definitely be incorporated into this video. Because all around, that's literally what I'm talking about. But specifically, we're talking about the social aspect. And the reason why, like I said, I really wanted to touch on this is because it's something that honestly, I know that I'm gonna be experiencing even more, as I go into just other areas. Lord's will, I do plan on approaching and trying to go through college. And I know that, oh man, I know that verse is definitely going to be even more present, but it is something that like I said, I've always seen. Even my high school career, it is something that literally you all, kid you not, I have seen. And, it's one of those things that, like I said, you are most likely going to be bound to see. I've seen people that have went from being the most respectful students, straight A's, A, B, high GPAs. Now they're underperforming. Now they're just completely disrespectful. They don't care about just other people. They don't care about the feelings of other people. At the end of the day, the only person they probably care about is themselves. And the reality of this verse is that it can be applied in so many ways. It doesn't have to be necessarily directly social. It can be just even in the form of social media, what you surround yourself by, what you consume socially. And that means, like I said, social media in general, who you hang around, just who you hang out with at the mall. It doesn't matter where the area is. At the end of the day, it can happen. And with me, my main advice is, look, be conscious of your social circle, Be conscious of really just who you hang out with, and be conscious of not only yourself, but be conscious of others. And the reason why I put that in perspective is because I definitely say this. Dude, when you notice someone is going down the wrong path, when you notice someone is obviously following a different crowd, there's nothing wrong with saying anything. However, at the end of the day, that person can definitely, they will definitely see the results of their actions. And that's the thing, actions have an effect, whether it may be positive or negative. At the end of the day, actions have an effect that are very visible to see. And reality, like I said with this verse, is that it's very real. It's just applicable. You know, you see this in government. You see this in society in general. You see this in just all many different areas of society that you can even think of. You see how celebrities, guilty by association. You know, you see different things such as, I'm not going to bring up specific situations, but you just see that one person's whole career can just crash and burn in flames just because they're around someone else. You know, you can see that one person's social life can crash and burn in flames because they're around someone else. And on that, you'll see that even the people that you think are actually providing friendship, they're not. This is why I tell you that you'd be shocked and you'd be surprised by really how much people can be so absorbed by attention. That's why I tell you that even with this verse, one of the main things is that it's something that I've seen in high school in general. People feed off of attention. People view attention as one of the most fulfilling things that they can ever consume. Now, me personally, I realized that way through high school that attention is something that I don't necessarily need in the form of just popularity. Even though, yes, I've always been pretty popular, and I'm not bragging or boasting. I'm just being completely honest with you and telling my story. A lot of you all have always wanted to know more about my high school experience, and I do plan on covering that. And if you want to learn about specifics, if you want advice, let me know. Drop it in the comment section. I'm more than happy to respond and to reply and to make a video about specific high school questions or whatever you want to know. But back to what I was saying, you know, in high school, you will notice that people will be completely hungry for attention. And this is something that usually they get through others. This is why I tell you that. It's all about the communication of a different crowd, because there's a certain crowd that's going to have a lot of attention surrounding themselves, a lot of popularity. And the attention is usually not going to be in the best light. It's usually going to be very negative. And the result of that, you hanging around that person or around those people, is that you're eventually going to become just like them. You're going to lose your identity. You're going to lose really just uniqueness. You know, that's the thing that I've always said is just so weird. It's like, why would you trade being unique? Why would you trade being yourself for just being like someone else? And my whole thing about that is if you're at least going to try to be like someone else, make sure that person is an actual positive figure, is a person that can actually benefit your lifestyle. And not someone that's just going to, you know, absolutely turn your lifestyle upside down and around and not for the better. Because as I was saying, you know, when your behaviors and when your usual, you know, positiveness or, you know, kindness or whatever it may be, when those things are eventually affected, it's sometimes difficult to revert back or just go back to your old ways that were actually positive, right? And I've seen this with people, like I said, whether it may be drugs, whether it may be alcohol, whether it may be marijuana, vaping. It's something that I've seen, it's something that I've noticed, I've spoke against. And I'll tell you even from experience, even after I did have a conversation with a person said, hey dude, like to be completely honest with you, you know, the vaping and all this is not healthy for you. Person still ignored me. And that's why I tell you that it's very clear and obvious that even if you try to help someone, even after they've been negatively affected and after they've decided to not be safe socially, you're not guaranteed to help that person. And that's just the reality. It's a sad, but it's a true reality, which is that even though you may have the intentions of helping a person and helping someone or helping a group of people, you're not always bound to necessarily help them. You're not necessarily always bound to have the effect that you want to have on that person or group of people. But my main advice is make sure that even if you do try to help someone, if you try to check in on someone, or if you try to give them the advice of just, hey, be conscious of who you're hanging around because I know this or I know that, you know, make sure that you're in the right place yourself. Because the sad reality of this is that if you're not in the right place yourself, you really can't give advice. You really can't give, you know, support for that person. That's the whole reality. If you're not in the right area, if you don't have good behaviors yourself, then how do you expect to influence another person to have good behaviors? Now, believe me, it is very possible, because what did the verse start off with? Deception, deceiving. And you'd be surprised that people will actually deceive or trick another person into thinking that something is right when it's actually wrong. When something is right, or when something is wrong, but they'll deceive that person into thinking that it is right. And that is exactly how this whole situation starts. That's how it begins. Unfortunately, that can be how it ends. So at the end of the day, it's Trenton Moore back here again. I would say, look, be conscious of your social circle. Be conscious of who you hang around. Be conscious of how safe you're being, because to be honest with you, certain things can truly come back to bite you. They truly can. But not only that, it can not only affect yourself, but it can continue to affect those around you. So overall, like I said, make sure if you're going to hang around someone, if you're going to hang around people, especially during this time, during this pandemic, you're going to hang around people, make sure you're hanging around the right social circle. People that are willing to support you, people that actually care about you, are not just saying it just to get something back from you, because people will indeed do that. They will say that they care about you like this, and they do this and do that, and they think about you. They don't. I'm just telling you all the truth. Telling you all the harsh reality of just human beings, humanity in general. And that's why I guarantee you that your social circle, even if you're an adult, if you're in middle school, high school, like I said, you can relate to this, you can relate to the Bible verse or scripture. Regardless, you can find yourself in this video. But it's Trenton Moore back here again. Be conscious of your social, or your social circle. It's a difficult thing to say. Be conscious of your social circle. Be conscious of even how you act around who you are around socially. Be conscious of the words you say, the actions that you commit. Just be conscious of yourself and be conscious of those around you. I'll see you all later. Peace.